Hi there, and welcome back to Finding Wendy. Here's my weekly update. First of all, my stats, because a lot of people just want to hear my stats and not listen to anything further I have to say. But I have some pretty important things that I want to talk about today, so I hope you stick around and watch past 1 minute. My starting weight back in December was 450 pounds. My Optifast weight was 400. My surgery weight, which was on March 20th, was 375. And last week I was at 335, and this week I'm at 335. So I haven't lost any weight, which is a bit discouraging. Of course, I have a stall now, which is quite common. But I do have some NSVs, which is basically your non-scale victory. A big non-scale victory for me, and I think it's amazing. Dum, da, 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 da. My asthma is gone. I no longer have to use my pump that has lots of steroids in it for my asthma. The asthma has disappeared. So basically, again, relating to, sorry about the fire engines in the background, relating to food. Food is basically a really, really important part. The type of food you eat is really important to your health. And I'll be talking a little bit about that as well today. But I'm also going to be talking about, again, I'm still reading this book by Kelly Gunther, You Have Such a Pretty Face. And there's a couple of quotes in the book that really, really stuck with me and that really have made me start thinking a lot more about the mind, and the mind is related to the body. So, and also a couple of books that I recommend that you may want to start reading because I have recently learned about these books as well. So, the other NSV is that my blood pressure is completely normal now. Last time I was at the doctor, it was 110/70, which is fantastic. And my walking is getting better. Last night I went to a concert and I walked from my car to the concert hall and back. I'm sore, but it's good. And a couple of quotes from this book that from Kelly Gunther. She writes that quote unquote, I'm a firm believer that every single thing happens in this life at a perfect time. There is a common saying, when the mind is ready, a teacher appears. When the mind is ready, a teacher appears. Which is huge because my mind is ready and open with this whole journey, and all of a sudden I'm speaking to more and more people and learning about books that they recommend I read, and other very interesting conversations that I've been having with some people in the last week. And also another quote that she quotes, actually Helen Keller, optimism is the faith that leads to achievement. Nothing can be done without hope and confidence. So sure, you have to be optimistic. You absolutely have to be optimistic and completely sure that you're going to be successful. So this is coming back to another conversation that I had with a colleague of mine. I'm a professional musician, and I was talking to my colleague who's also a professional musician. And we were comparing the fact that when we were young, when I was in my, late teens, in my 20s, and I had made a decision to pursue music as a profession. And I was motivated every day to practice 4, 5, 6 hours a day. And she was saying, why were we so motivated and self-disciplined to become fantastic, successful professional musicians, but we didn't have that self-discipline and motivation to diet and keep the weight off, and to lose weight and then keep the weight off? Why was one working and the other not working, basically, was the conversation. And I really thought about this, and I basically came to the conclusion that, the saying, it takes a village. Well, when you compare being a musician when you're young, you have a teacher, and every week you have to perform the pieces that your teacher wants you to perform. So, so you have to work on these pieces, and you're made accountable. So you go to your lesson, at the end of the week, and you practice the pieces you've been practicing all week for your teacher. And if they're not done well and they're not prepared, your teacher gives you shit. Sorry for my language, but you get in big trouble, big doo-doo, if you're not prepared for your lesson. But it does make you feel good if you are prepared and you do well in your lesson and you get your new sort of work that you have to do the next week. The same thing happens when you later become a professional musician and get a job with an orchestra, which I did, and I worked professionally in Amsterdam for 20 years. You get your music and you have to prepare and practice your music for your first rehearsal. And subsequently, so your colleagues become your peers, your colleagues become what makes you accountable. So you can't walk into the orchestra pit or onto the stage with an unprepared piece. So then you're being made accountable, which is, again, the village aspect. It takes a village. And so you're performing every week. You're performing new works every week. Later in life, when I started working with the Toronto Symphony as well, when I came back to Toronto after living in Amsterdam for 20 years, I worked with the Kitchener-Waterloo Symphony and the Toronto Symphony and the Canadian Opera Company orchestras. And you're given your music, a week or two ahead of the concert, and you practice your little butt off until you know it's absolutely perfect. Because you don't want to be the one where you're in rehearsal and all of a sudden the conductor says, stops the rehearsal and say, horns again, because you messed up. So there's a lot of pressure when you're a professional musician because you have to play perfectly. So again, going back to the diet part, the motivation. Why is it that so many people are unsuccessful when they're dieting? Well, because of the accountability. I think that's a huge key. So the accountability of the fact that I've had this bariatric surgery, that I have this fantastic bariatric group that meetings every 2 weeks. I go to Toronto Western Hospital and I talk to a psychiatrist or I talk to other bariatric patients who have had the surgery, and we are sort of accountable with each other. And you're a little bit you're not in competition with them, but you want to be proud of your own success when you go to these meetings. So that's the accountability part. So you're accountable to your colleagues at this meeting, but you're also getting feedback from these people. So that's the other aspect that I was talking about as far as teachers are concerned. So as Kelly Gunther mentions, that this quote that I mentioned before, that when your mind is ready, a teacher appears. So my niece is doing her master's at university in sociology, and she was talking about a couple of books that she highly recommends that I read. Gabor Mate, In the Realm of Hungry Ghosts, and he talks about the connection between childhood trauma and addiction. So going back to what I just talked about, where it takes a village. If you go to an AA meeting because you're an alcoholic, or you go to a drug addiction meeting, some sort of meeting that you're being accountable, but a village is helping you with your journey. And so another book she recommends is Roy Baumeister, which is called Willpower, and Bessel van der Kolk, which is called The Body Keeps Score. So these are all really interesting reads. I haven't read them yet, but I'll post a little picture in my video and some links to the books in my video, so you can check out the books yourself. It's really important to keep your mind open. But it's really important to have teachers helping and guiding you. I became a really good professional musician because I had fantastic teachers guiding me in my journey. So now I'm looking for some fantastic teachers to guide me in this weight loss journey, and to have people around you to make you accountable. So I'm accountable by posting these videos every week about my progress. I write about it on my Facebook as well. And then I'm also a member of a couple of Facebook groups that also are part of my village of accountability. So yeah, so it's a little bit of a long video this week, but yeah, I think those are a couple of important things to mention about your motivation, about the teachers that you need to help you and guide you in your journey. So that's it for today. Thanks so much for watching, and hope to see you next week. And keep up the journey, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe as well, and share this information with anybody you know that is a little lost and looking for some help. I'm happy to help, and I'm happy to share, and I really feel very positive and happy that I'm able to find the secrets to success. See you next week. Bye.